Welcome one, welcome all. It has been a month of intense and compact racing here in the Everything Simulated Formula Ford Championship, supported by Player1 Sim Gear here at Formula Drivers League, the recruitment series for this fantastic league, bringing in lots of fantastic drivers into this category, but one man has stood above the rest, and it is Sebastian Eskandari. He has the potential to take the title today here at the final round at the west layout of the Bend if he finishes higher than 7th place. Bringing it to you live here on TrackSpotTV, it is myself, Reese Gardner. Got George Cook alongside me in the commentary box, and also pressing all the buttons behind the scenes in the producer's chair. Well, George, it all comes to an end here. 3 rounds complete, only 1 to go before we get back into FDL proper when the Super Formula Lights League returns in January.
That's right, and we're looking forward to that new season of SFL. It's going to be a great one, but to finish off the year with a bang, we're back at the Bend. We had this in Season 4 as the Enduro finale, of course, and we had some great racing in those SFL cars. I'm looking forward to seeing how the drivers today handle the Formula Fords. They're not quite as easy to drive around a circuit like this that's got some very tricky zones to get through. Turn 6 is going to be one that we keep an eye on, one of the heaviest braking zones in the entire circuit, and 30 minutes here, again, going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Lap times running about 1 minute and 23 seconds around here, which means the race should have a substantial amount of laps completed. Here are the standings coming into the final round. Eskandari is the clear leader on 290 points, but we still have potential for Kane Ryder, Seth Burkhartz or Jordan Mazzaroli to take the title if everything goes their way. That's how things look at the top of the driver standings. Ackland and Rihanna not in contention anymore, but if something goes wrong for Ryder, Burkhartz or Mazzaroli, they'll definitely be right on that and trying their best to round down that championship gap. We've had plenty of tight fighting all the way throughout this field, but Eskandari, once again, George, the clear leader.
Clear leader, and the consistency. I think we were talking about this last week, me and you, and the consistency that he has out on track, in the car, even at a circuit that not a lot of people have gotten time to get up to speed with at Adelaide for round 3. I see he seemed to have this will behind him, some air in the sails, so to speak, and that certainly has put him on top in the previous SFL season. It's certainly done the same here so far, and yeah, 7th or above, he wins it today, but 8th or below, I'll tell you, Kane Ryder's in with a shot. So keep an eye on that one. Don't count out the Tulip Racing guys either. Seth Burkhartz is definitely in there for this one too. I think we're nearly about ready to head to qualifying.
Yep, certainly are. Just coming into the qualifying session now to see who gets pole position for the final round of this championship. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we are racing at the west layout of the Bend. Reasonably good track temperatures out there today in the mid to high 20s with only 22 degrees Celsius air temperature and partly cloudy conditions. So we're going to be seeing some fast times being set in this session. This layout basically comprises of the pits area, the start-finish straight, the first few turns of the main lap, but then there's a shortcut that brings you right to the closing corners of this fantastic FIA Grade 2 venue in South Australia. And big surprise, the Team Max Boost cars are out there in a train with their recent addition, Campbell Adams. We will see how they do here as they make their way across the line. Adams giving a bit of slipstream initially to Vaughan Ryder, but it looks like he's going to be pulling out of the slipstream and falling to the back of this train, probably to join his other teammate Daniel McCrowan, as it looked like there was a bit of a mistake ahead for another driver. It's Nathan Verney that had gone off there at turn 1. Fortunately, lots of runoff area to show. Well, Vaughan here making his way through the opening turns, and this is where they will come up to the shortcut. You blend your way through this flat-out left-hander like the normal layout, but then you get on the brakes quite a bit later than you think. After the track diverts to the left to go through the hairpin onto the main layout, there's this little chute in between the infield of the circuit, and then you spat out towards the closing corners, and this is a bowl-shaped left-hander. You can really get a good launch if you play your cards right, but I think this is going to be all about slipstreaming, honestly. I think it's a bit of a similar situation to what we had round 2 at Snetterton, George. It's a track with plenty of corners, and you obviously have to get them right, but more importantly, it's got plenty of long, flat-out sections where you can draft with other cars.
Yeah, you get it right through turn 2, turn 3, you spat out back through turn 4. And all the way, you've got to run all the way up to the braking zone. And a good thing to note is that the track's rather wide. It's got plenty of space. You know, we've got a lot of runoff. We've got a lot of opportunities to overtake. This is an area here into turn 1 where you're going to be potentially 3 wide with other cars. You can see Jackson Rihanna now going past Vaughan Ryder. So I was actually noting just a little bit of antics going on there between these guys. Jackson Rihanna has been consistently trying to stay in amongst these guys. And it looked like they were maybe trying to position themselves just to let Jackson get on through and maybe be giving them the draft for a change. But luckily, Jackson Rihanna just mysteriously ended up off track towards turn 8. So managed to get himself back into the slipstream of the Max Boost cars. I wonder if it works out. It's about 4 or 5 versus 1 at the moment. And Jackson has them in qualifying so far, yet to really have them all in the race scenario. But if you add in turn 10 to 11 and then the back straight, of course, the main pit straight, there's plenty of opportunities, and with these cars, we saw photo finishes at both Phillip Island and also in race 2 as well. I think we're going to see the same here today.
Yeah, we definitely are. And the Tulip Racing cars of Jordan Mazzaroli and Seth Burkhart's tend to be the ones doing those side-by-side photo finishes. They've been pretty good competitors this season, I have to say. First drivers really outside of the Max Boost group to really make a charge towards winning in this series. Neither of them have managed to take a win thus far, but we have seen podium visitations from the Tulip cars. We may very well see the same today, considering that Jordan Mazzaroli's put himself in P4 and Seth Burkhart's currently P6 on the current qualifying times. There's the swap between them, and Mazzaroli will be the one leading the charge. Bit of oversteer on the way through the hairpin, but that's what you need in this car to really get the best out of it. And I think the Bend in general is a track that likes a pointy car that rotates mid-corner.
Yes, and I think also to its name, you want to bend the rules in terms of off tracks as well, just that little bit. You want to find the advantage here because it's going to give you that ability to open up the corner, get really, really wide and get that power down nice and early, and that's what they're all going to be looking for. It's really the exits and getting the power down to the straight that's going to benefit them. You'll see a little bit of a bump of the inside curve there from Mazzaroli as he heads now down the pit straight, and Eskandari has set the benchmark so far. It's a 23.465. Oh my goodness. Rihanna's only 1800ths of a second, but then Mazzaroli's going to put it 1900ths behind, so 1/1000th of a second between second and third. I love it.
That's fantastic. And not too far off Eskandari either. We're going to have a very close session if this form continues. Great performance from Michael Scott as well to put it P4 overall, ahead of McCrohan and Adams. He's in the midst of trying to find a slipstream himself here. We'll see what he can do in the draft of Seth Burkhart's and Jordan Mazzaroli. It appears joining the Tulip Racing teammates here, and Sean Doyle at the front of this train. A little bit of a mistake, going to let the train by. Good job in qualifying to get that done. You know, for as fast and flowing a track as the Bend is, and with as many straight sections as it seems to have, I find sometimes it's a bit difficult to get out of the way of someone on a qualifying lap.
Yeah, you find yourself running a little bit wide here or there, and then you're in the middle of the track. And yeah, I mean, there's enough runoff that you can do it, but if you're making a mistake and you're spinning on the track, yeah, you're going to be in trouble pretty quickly. I think I do recall a number of drivers having a little bit of an issue with the pit entry here. Not going to be an issue tonight as they don't need to pit during this race, but certainly the SFL Season 4, when we went there for the finale, was all sorts of shenanigans happening, pit lane entry, pit lane exit. It's one of those double bads, really, in a way. I mean, we love it. Don't get me wrong. Here in the commentary box, we absolutely love it. But it is definitely a double bad that drivers don't have to be aware of that tonight. Ooh. So I'll be quite happy. Ooh, there we go. Kane Ryder to the top.
Yes, and Daniel McCrohan joins him. We're now down to 123.3 for the quickest time of the session, and well, that's not too far off what Danny Davison was able to set in practice. Davison had the fastest time of a 1 minute 22.84. That's the time that all of these guys are chasing. And well, if you time everything right, if you get a slipstream the whole way around a lap, I think it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's a little bit hard for me to say. Well, there goes Kane Ryder letting Jackson Rihanna through. We're on board with Jackson Rihanna at the moment, so his ability now to get the slipstream is officially gone. Let's see, but we've got Jordan Mazzaroli on a very good lap. That's a mistake from Jackson Rihanna. Tricky part that really is to get it absolutely spot on, because your car's just got so much lateral momentum at that point.
Oh yeah, so much. It's a difficult corner to get right, that one. It's faster than it looks, but very easy to overcome the limits of grip. And I think the approach to the corner is something you need to get used to on this particular layout, because that left-hander on the main layout, it's got a bit more of a sizable straight leading up to it, so you're able to pick your braking point a little bit easier. On this layout, you're flowing into that left-hander directly from the shortcut, so you have to sort of change your approach, change your reference points for that corner. Well, a whole bunch of yellows on the timing screen at the moment, but I do see PBs being set there for Nathan Verney, Daniel Byrne and Jackie Chung, Danny Davison and Dan Ackland, also green in Sector 1. So I'm sure that we'll be seeing some further improvements in the next half a minute or so.
And there we go. Jackie Chung up to 18th position, so he finally did get a lap in. He was the last driver on the grid. In race control today, Tom Donahoe and, of course, Jimmy Peacock as well, returning for the season finale. Great to have him back, and 5 minutes left on the clock now. Eskandari's out there a little bit on his lonesome at the moment. Looks like McCrowan and Vaughan Ryder and several of the other Max Boost cars still trying to improve their time with that massive slipstream that they can get, but they kind of, given that there's technically 3 straights, they kind of need to have 3 cars in front of them. Get a slipstream on one, get him out of the way, get another car, slipstream on that one, get him out of the way, and then the third one, and then get him out of the way as soon as possible.
If it was a long enough session, they probably would try something like that, but they only have 15 minutes to deal with here. And well, when you consider outlaps, that's a maximum of about 5 or 6 hot laps that you can do at the max, depending on if you decide to commit to a 2-lap run or not. So ultimately, I think it's going to be half talent, half luck of the draw, considering where you end up on the grid today, at least if you're in a drafting group like the Max Boost cars plus Jackson Rihanna are doing. You're right, your point earlier, it's always fun to see Jackson up there with the Max Boost group, because obviously he's on pace with them and he's able to fight with them every single round. The problem is he doesn't have a teammate really to work with most of the time. He just needs to hope that they'll allow him to be a part of their little cabal at the top of the field, and he can fight with them cleanly.
Yeah, a disruptive element. He's trying to be in there, just disrupting the engine that is Team Max Boost, which grows ever larger, by the way, with Campbell Adams now joining the Max Boost fray as well. He was actually part of Max Boost from Adelaide, round 3, as we see Seth Burkhart's improve, and he's now within 17/900ths of the top time from Kane Ryder. Eskandari nearly got himself the pole as well. So yes, Team Max Boost increasing their size, so at this point they may not even notice that Jackson Rihanna is in the train unless they look in their rear view mirrors and see a very, very yellow flash liveried car. Also, welcome into chat to Turbo Bros and Max Boost. Great to have you guys here as McCrowan goes to the top.
He does indeed, and Campbell Adams joins him up there. It is a 1-2 for Max Boost in qualifying at the moment, with Rihanna sitting in 3rd. That was Rihanna's PB in the session as well, down to a 1:23.295, but we're creeping ever closer to that magic 1 minute and 22 second bracket. 23.16 for McCrowan. So let's see what he can do. Let's see what Eskandari can do as well. He hasn't really been a factor for the top position for most of the session. Currently sits in 5th. And meanwhile, the Tulip Racing cars that we're focusing on at the moment, still a bit outside that top 5 as well. Burkhart's in 6th and Mazzaroli in 8th. It looks like the two teammates are helping each other out in the slipstream, and they got two more teammates up ahead of them, the Synergy guys of Daniel Ackland and Todd Parks. We'll see if there's any improvement from then. Ackland goes to P5, and Burkhartz, meanwhile, goes to P2. A fantastic lap there from Burkhartz. Great improvement from Ackland as well.
Oh, fantastic stuff. Yeah, great to see Synergy Sim Racing getting up there. They're using their two people in this race to maximum effect. I mean, as are Tulip Racing. That's a great... Oh, Campbell Adams is coming. Oh, my goodness, it's changing so quickly. Rihanna's gone to the top. We're 64 hundredths of a second away from a 22, which would be great to see. McCrowan in second. Adams pushed down to third now, even with that blistering time. We're keeping an eye on Burchartz at the moment. As the time starts to tick down, they'll probably get one more lap, these two chaps, before things are all over. I was going to do a shout out to Sean Doyle, who was hanging into that top 10 all the way through on debut as a privateer, but he's been unfortunately just shoved slightly out of the ring at the moment.
Yeah, currently sits in P12, does our series debutant there of Sean Doyle. Looks like McCrowan has exceeded track limits there and has gotten a slowdown. The Synergy duo lets pass the Tulip duo, and Mazzaroli is the one chasing at the moment in the slipstream. Burkhartz has been supremely quick in this session. We'll see if his teammate has anything to say about it, if he can join him in the top 5. Slipstream kicks in across the line, and Mazzaroli does improve to P7, so that worked out okay for them in the short term. They will have one more chance here. Still 20 seconds on the clock. This is an open 15-minute session with a single race, so lap times set after the clock hits 0 will count as long as you start it while the clock is still running.
Oh, Rihanna to pole position. I think, no, that was his... I think he has improved. He was there before.
Yeah.
I think he's improved by about 3 1,000th of a second. So that is his qualifying over. Jackson Rihanna done. And unless he's de-podiumed, so to speak, by McCrowan, Adams, or Burchartz, or Ryder, or anyone else on the grid, the 23.061 will stand. That's very wide from Mazzaroli. Hasn't been the cleanest lap so far. In fact, that's Burchartz. My apologies. So he's still leading his teammate around. No improvement from either in Sector 1, and they're pushing hard. They want to get this lap time in, but at the moment, it doesn't look like it's going to be clean enough for that. Dan Ackland just in behind them. They're pulling off. That's it for Tulip Racing. They are done for this session. So the question is, can Campbell Adams do it? No, he can't. Can McCrowan do it? He's on a lap. Let's see.
Yes, indeed. He's fallen off the back of the train ahead, so probably hasn't gotten the slipstream that he wanted here. And keeping an eye on, oh, look at that, Eskandari purple in Sector 2. This could be a big lap here for our championship leader. If he takes pole position after the clock's run out, that'll be super painful for Jackson Rihanna. But all it's going to take is everything going right here for Eskandari. And it does. He gets into the 22s. Wasn't the fastest in Sector 3, but that purple Sector 2 was enough to grab him pole position there and get about 1.5 tenths on Jackson Rihanna in the end.
Wow. That was an impressive last run there. And we did see our very magical 1 minute 22 by some margin, by just over 102, well, exactly 102 splits of the second, so to speak. So Jackson Rihanna will be disappointed with that. I think he was really on. He had a great time. It did improve, but not as much as he really needed to. Second place is still a great place to start. He'll be splitting the Team Max boost at the beginning of today's race.
That he will, and what a fantastic qualifying session that was. Lots of great times being set, and all up, it looks like pretty respectful competition as well. I didn't see any race control messages or submissions over the course of that session, so I don't think we've had anyone impeding, so to speak. That's the clock run out for qualifying, and now we can go into the race. It's Eskandari who starts on pole position, on the verge of taking the championship, with Jackson Rihanna alongside him on the front row. Daniel McCrowan and Campbell Adams the second row, with Kane Ryder and Seth Burchartz there, 5th and 6th. Dan Ackland in 7th alongside Burchartz's teammate Jordan Mazzaroli. And then Danny Davison and Michael Scott rounding things out in the top 10. Good performance from Scott once more. Sean Doyle on his series debut takes 11th, starting alongside Mitchell Albert. Chase James Tippett and Vaughan Ryder will be 13th and 14th. Dylan Little and Daniel Byrne join each other on the 8th row. Jackie Chung and James Cassar 17th and 18th. Then Matt Tesoriero and Todd Parks rounding out your top 20. Nathan Verney, Martin Lipsky and Patrick Savina, the last drivers to set times in qualifying. They are going to be starting the race. Tom Donoghue and Jimmy Peacock are in race control. So 23 Formula Fords taking to the start here for the final race of the Everything Simulated Formula Ford Championship, supported by Player1 Sim Gear. And this is the last FDL event of 2025, but we are not far away from more FDL action coming to your screens. We are gearing up for the Super Formula Lights League to return on the 13th of January, and the week before that, on the 6th of January, there will be a special event, the FDL Formula Open. The big boy Super Formula car, the SF23, will be racing at Miami. So if you're interested in competing in that event against some of the drivers you're watching right now, make sure to sign up, and it will be a fun time for all to bring in the new year. Well, just a few seconds remaining now on the grid timer. It looks like everyone has assumed their grid spots. It's Eskandari versus Jackson Rihanna on the front row with a very long run to turn one. Slight blink there from Rihanna. That's a bit worrying, but it looks like his internet's holding up. The revs rise, the flag drops, and so do the clutches. Away we go for the final race of 2025 in Formula Drivers League. The Everything Simulated Formula Ford Championship is go here at the bend, and Rihanna getting a good run on Eskandari into the first corner. He'll have the inside line. He will be first to the apex. Eskandari is going to let him have it, but surely not for long.
Oh, good start there. Jackson Rihanna managed to pip him at turn one. Good move. And I don't think Eskandari was interested really at all at fighting it whatsoever. We've had a bunch of movers and shakers around the grid, but so far no incidents coming up on our timing sheets at this stage. Sean Doyle may have just started in the pit lane today. As we see some near collisions there between Max Boost and Tulip Racing.
Yeah, looks like one of the Max Boost. Oh my God! One of the Max Boost cars has gone spinning. Oh, and there's a huge crash. It's not Max Boost. It's Dylan Little. Dylan Little stopped, and it looks like that was a tap in the rear that he got from Jackie Chung that sent him careening across the grass, and unfortunately into the rest of the cars that were trying their best to make their way through that corner. It was, I believe, Vaughan Ryder, the Max Boost car, that went off at turn 5. But at the front of the field, Jackson Rihanna still leads from Sebastian Eskandari, and it is a top 12 breakaway from the rest of the field. Out of the final corner they come, and Eskandari's already gearing up in the slipstream here to take the lead back from Jackson Rihanna. His Max Boost teammates Daniel McCrone and Campbell Adams will surely try to follow him.
Yeah, they want to take advantage of this situation. McCrone is poised to make that move on Jackson Rihanna. A little bit of a lock-up there from one of the drivers. I think that was Jackson Rihanna, but Eskandari's got the apex beautifully through this part of the circuit. Note that Daniel Ackland is up to 5th position. Again, this is where he hovered at Adelaide in the previous round. He's clearly got some really good pace in the Formula Fords at the moment. Kane Ryder and Danny Davidson a little bit spread out. Danny Davidson leading essentially a second pack. There's 3 packs currently in there. Jackie Chung had a meatball flag, sadly, so unfortunately he's going to go back to the pits, and no opportunity for Jackson Rihanna this time round.
No, it's turning out either it's very hard to pass on this layout, or Rihanna's just biding his time because he knows there's a whole group of Max Boost cars in there. Here's the contact on the brakes. Jackie Chung gets into Dylan Little, and from that point, Dylan, he's really doing all he can to slow that car down, but when you're broadside and sideways like that at those speeds, the car is not slowing down, and unfortunately, he was just a passenger going into about 3 or 4 other cars there. That's resulted in some big losses of position for Sean Doyle, or actually Doyle started from the pits. Well, actually, it looks like the vast majority of the field, aside from Jackie Chung and Dylan Little, managed to more or less get away with that. So, well, we'll wait and see what race control has to say. But for the moment, turn our attention back to these battles. Keep an eye on the second one here as Seth Burkhardt leads Danny Davison into turn 1, the battle for 7th, and Tippett has gone around.
Oh, it's an unlucky little spin there for him. And yeah, he's dropped back a couple of positions. We've got race control coming in saying Chung is going to get a 10-second penalty for bumping to gain an advantage. That may not be the only penalty coming his way, given he was involved in that contact with Dylan Little. Looks like Danny Davison wants to have another attack here, an attempt at getting up onto that rear wing of Seth Burchardt. But to be honest, the Tulip racing cars have not had the start that they've wanted. They've actually got Michael Scott of racing team Michael Scott in the purple and white car, just in behind them, chasing both Danny Davison and Seth down at the moment. And Mazzaroli, 1.1 seconds off the back of this. Has he got a problem with the car?
Mazzaroli did have to alter his line through turn 1 just a little bit to avoid the spinning James Tippett. So potentially a little rattled by that, and now having to work hard to catch back up to everybody ahead of him. So it's going to be Burkhardt's flying solo for Tulip Racing in that battle for 7th for the time being. Here's the battle for the lead again. Once Eskandari got back into the lead, he showed no signs of wanting to give it back up. He led Rihanna by just a little bit more than Rihanna led McCrowan by into the first corner. On board with Dan Ackland, the highest placed of our Synergy Sim Racing drivers, 2 positions up in the opening laps. And there's quite a few drivers that have gained pretty big in the first 5 or so minutes of this race. Todd Parks up 6 spots to 14th, and we have Martin Lipsky and Patrick Savina down in 17th and 18th. They are up 5 positions each. Some pretty impressive runs so far. But Ackland, you can tell, he's sitting here, he's hitched a hook to the back of this train, and I think he's perfectly happy to just sit here for the time being.
No, this is exactly what he did at Adelaide. It's exactly what we've seen him do at the previous 2 races as well. So he is becoming a master of the maneuver of wait for something to happen ahead of me and just hang in the slipstream. It's a good little maneuver. He's got it quite well nailed down at the moment. Others on the field may benefit by learning that technique and just having a little bit more patience on the grid. That said, these are short races and you need to make the overtakes count. When the opportunities come your way, you've got to snap them up. Onto the main straight once again, and let's see if there's going to be an overtaking opportunity for Jackson Rihanna. Looks like McCrone wants to pull out of that slipstream for a moment. Kane Ryder goes and sets the fastest lap of the race now, 23.6 there. Rihanna going defensive into turn 1.
And he makes the move on Eskandari. I get the feeling Rihanna saw McCrowan pull out, and Rihanna reacted to try and cover it, and that put him on course to make the overtake. But look at the exit from Eskandari there out of turn 3. He absolutely nailed it, and he's right on the gearbox of Jackson and Rihanna once again, side by side between Ackland and Ryder. Ackland is finally making moves in this pack, but it looks like he's going to be at a disadvantage coming into this corner. He'll hold the outside line. He will use all of the tarmac runoff, but ultimately has to give the position back to Kane Ryder. Yeah, the strategy that Ackland is employing at the moment is one that I often employ when I'm behind the wheel. At a circuit and in a car where the slipstream is so strong and so useful, it's often better to just wait for those opportunities to come to you. If you can keep yourself within a second of the car ahead of you, you've got the slipstream, and you're going to stick with them as long as you nail the corners. But like you said, it is only a 30-minute race. And there's no pit stops either, so there's not going to be any talk of fuel saving or trying to undercut anybody. You're racing to the end. Here comes McCrowan and Eskandari, double teaming Jackson Rihanna, and McCrowan will go to the lead of the race coming into turn 1. So for the moment, looks like Rihanna's going to be on the back foot here. He might have to find some help from Ackland.
And Campbell Adams is under the attacking mode as well. He's going to go for it if he can. And Max Boost will be loving the fact that they may be getting a P1, 2, 3, and 4. A warning for Little radio communication. There's a little bit of a contact with Jackson Rihanna's rear wing. And this is actually what happened at Adelaide, except it was Tulip Racing on the inside and the outside of Jackson Rihanna. And like a swarm of flies or mosquitoes, Team Max Boost are all over Jackson Rihanna, but he's got one up on them and manages to pull the maneuver on McCrowan, who was a little bit off kilter through that part of the corner. We did also see another penalty, unfortunately, for Jackie Chung, who had a loss of control causing that accident early on.
Yes, and also a radio warning for Dylan Little. Of course, race control are mindful that too much chatter on the radio can be very disruptive in a serious online sim race such as this. So most leagues have rules around how much you can use the radio in the race. Evidently, Dylan Little falling within those auspices as the fight continues here in the top 6. Not too far behind is Davison, Burkhardt and Scott. Battle for 7th, 8th and 9th will certainly have a chance to catch up if these guys get into each other. You can see they're in the same shot at times, so still plenty to find in this fight.
Certainly is. Actually, the order in the top 5 is back to our qualifying position, so this is exactly how they started the race. And so we're back to even Stevens, back to where it all began. But how long is the question? Oh, Jackson Rihanna's so deep on the brakes with this car, and he does seem to have this style of just throwing the front end in and just hoping that the rear holds. It is allowing him to go quite quickly in this vehicle, I have to admit. But I saw in practice a couple of losses of control actually coming up to this section, this exact section that we're in, where he just points the car in and it didn't really want to behave, and hopefully, given the distance he is behind Eskandari, a familiar sight for him, the rear bumper of Eskandari now, in both the Season 4 SFL and this one as well, sad to say, but he's probably quite familiar with the position he's racing in right now.
Well, at the very least, that's plenty of practice employing certain strategies when you're racing amidst these cars. Side by side between the teammates, Adams and Ryder, as Rihanna moves to the inside and takes the lead once again from Eskandari. I think this is the picture of what we're going to be seeing in this race. Slipstream from second place and a move at turn 1. They're basically just, it's basically just a revolving door for the leading position at the moment.
Yeah, this is giving me flashbacks to Phillip Island, where we basically saw exactly that. It's just back and forth. And to be honest, I mean, this battle will continue. They will continue to exchange positions, and it is great racing to watch. But we probably don't really need a massive number of updates until the last lap. But I suspect that's going to be the same all the way through the field at the moment. All the battles going to be going back and forth and back and forth. Only real big gap we've got in the field is going to be James Kasser. In 12th position, leading a bit of a battle pack there of about 4 cars. In the background, we do still see the likes of Davison, Burchardt, and Michael Scott, as we race control, saying car number 771. No further action on that as Jackson Rihanna gets it very wide on the exit.
Oh yeah, very wide indeed, and it's easy to do at that corner. This could compromise both Eskandari and Rihanna. They have a poor run out of the final corner as a result. Both of them running side by side. This is the chance that Daniel McCrowan needs. Gets in the slipstream of his teammate, past Rihanna for second. And now, oh, okay, all right, here we go. 3 wide, let's do it. We're in it now. Into the braking zone, Rihanna sweeping around the outside. Just manages to keep it on the straight and narrow, and McCrowan will continue looking up the inside, but not quite able to get it done. Eskandari still on course to win the championship from here. Like we said in the championship scenarios talk, all he needs to do is finish 7th or higher, and he's got it in the bag. But with how close the racing is getting, Eskandari will probably be thinking about a few other things as they're 3 wide again. Rihanna going very wide on the exit of the shortcut, but stays in the lead by some miracle.
Oh, that's close racing. It's brilliant. For Kane Ryder to win today, he needs Eskandari to be in 8th position, and he needs to win the race. So the man in the number 1 car has to go and get the final top spot. The only top spot, I should say, not the final one, but certainly the only top spot in the end of this race, and reach that checkered flag in first, with Eskandari being in 8th position. It's the only way that Kane Ryder can make this happen. There's a few other calculations we'll give you as we go through, but Michael Scott going very wide, but Team Michael Scott won't be too unhappy with where he's at the moment. P9 currently, and well in that top 10. Here we go again. It's like deja vu.
Yes, it is. Max Boost versus the bright yellow car of Jackson Rihanna for Everything Simulated Racing. And Kane Ryder is doing exactly what he did on the last lap and trying to sneak up the inside of Rihanna. But that third corner, I've found when I've been behind the wheel, is one of the best corners to run side by side through. It's banked as you go through the middle of the corner, so you can hold the outside very nicely. Matt Tesoriero, the next driver to fall under race control's hammer for a loss of control earlier. Car number 25 will have 10 seconds added to his race time. Look at the run there from Kane Ryder, sneaking up the inside of Mr. Jackson Rihanna. Keeps the inside for the next corner, but Rihanna will get on the power a bit early around the outside and retake the position. Now there's a heavy braking zone coming up. This is where Rihanna ran wide a couple of laps ago to start all of this in the first place. The slowest corner on the regular layout of this racetrack, not the slowest corner on this layout. That'll belong to turn 6, I believe. The shortcut, but they all managed to nail it, and they'll continue on for a few more laps. All of these shenanigans have now brought that 7th place fight into the fold. Seth Burkhardt and Danny Davison now have the slipstream.
Ryder on Jackson Rihanna into turn 1. We've seen it once, we've seen it twice. It is very wide from Jackson Rihanna, and he's going to lose 2 positions there. Both McCrowan and Ryder get on through, and yeah, unfortunately for Jackson, just a little bit too ambitious on defending into that first corner. It's really tricky because as soon as you get onto that runoff, it's dirt there. And of course, you're going to get yourself a nice dirty tire to deal with, and then right into turn 2. So straight into the left-hander, and you're basically out of position and hoping that the other drivers around aren't taking the faster racing line through that part of the circuit. We've actually had Jimmy Peacock in chat as well, just saying how much he loves being in race control now, how quick he is at putting these penalties in. Oh, good on you. That's excellent. I'm glad you find joy in that.
I certainly didn't find much joy in it when I attempted running an R-Factor league when I was in year 12. It did not work out very nice. At the end of the day, these guys do a great job in administrative roles, and it's a very difficult and thankless job a lot of the time. So big shout out to everybody who's helped to run this series and put it together, not just the Formula Ford series, but also just FDL in general. The Formula Ford Recruitment Series that we ran a few months ago, and Super Formula Light Season 4. Some of the most tightly run ships I have ever seen, as Rihanna gets on the brakes, maybe a little harder than he'd have liked. That kicked out the rear end. Now, you do need the rear end to be loose in this car to get the best out of it, but not that loose.
No, I think given his style of driving, he's been kicking out that rear end more often than some of these other drivers who are looking for a little bit more traction in most of the exits and most of the entries into the corners. Here we go, lots of side-by-side action happening. Big braking there from McCrowan, going to put him side-by-side with Ryder, but compromised on the exit, so Ryder will hold on to that position. Love these camera views from on board. It really gives us a sense of what these drivers go through. And I mean, look, I am no driver, right? I've got a sim rig, I've got a wheel. I do my little bits of amateur driving here and there. I'll tell you, this is so impressive to watch.
Yeah, it's amazing seeing drivers get the best out of these cars. There's actually another Formula Ford series that I commentate in the Canadian scene, and I've had a couple of guest drives in it, and well, you know, I didn't do too badly for myself, running good enough for top 5s, but honestly, the racing was the most brutal part of it, because when you get good drivers in these cars, they will take every opportunity they can possibly get, and here's the opportunity for Kane Ryder, the #1, slipstreaming past his championship leading teammate, but Eskandari tries to respond there into turn 1. Slight compromise on the way through. I tell you what, though, if you look forward towards the back of this train, as up the inside goes Jackson Rihanna, back into third, gets past McCrowan, and there's almost a coming together between McCrowan and Adams. Have a look at who's latched onto the back of this one. Seth Burkhardt of Tulip Racing. He was there with Danny Davison and Michael Scott, battling towards this pack, and they were catching up. Well, Davison and Scott apparently couldn't shake each other free, so they've fallen back again, but Burkhardt has stayed with the lead pack. He could be a spanner in the works here.
Oh, he is going to be absolutely a spanner in the works, a true cat amongst the pigeons. Daniel Ackland, I expect him to dispatch Daniel with relative ease. I mean, Daniel's a really good defender, great driver, but Seth had the pace over him throughout most of the season. And if Dan's going to be a little bit more passive today, then he probably won't fight it with Seth Burkhardt, and is probably quite happy just to not lose too much time if the overtake does inevitably happen. But yeah, our 6-way fight for P1 has now become a 7-way fight. It nearly became a 9-way fight with the rest, as you can see, 4 cars in the background who are right there as well. Expect Danny Davidson to make a little bit of progress in the next 10 minutes or so as we barrel now towards 12 minutes remaining in the race. Eskandari is going to have another chance on Kane Ryder. Bear in mind that Kane Ryder needs to finish in the top spot. So right now, as it stands, the only thing that could depose, or that's the wrong word, but that could take Eskandari away from a championship is some sort of contact with a car behind or in front.
So we will keep ourselves well primed for any explosion in this powder keg of a front pack we've got going at the moment. 3 drivers out of the 7 are individuals not associated with Team Max Boost. So that does make things a bit more difficult to manage for Ryder, Eskandari, McCrowan and Adams. And speaking of Ryder, just going wide there, he manages to hold on to the position though. This is something that I see so many times through that left-hander. The slight banking, the bold nature of that corner allows you to really hold it round the outside if you're brave enough. And it looks like Ryder was able to do that and minimize the effects of his error. So out of the final corner then, 10 minutes and 20 seconds remain on the clock. And my timing is telling me that is 8 laps remaining. So we've still got plenty of time for this to be worked out. Double side by side, call it triple side by side. Eskandari and Ryder, then Rihanna and McCrowan. Adams and Ackland also side by side for 5th and 6th. And it'll work out in the favor of Eskandari. Trying desperately to remain in the top 2 is Jackson Rihanna, but it's probably not going to happen here unless he can pull off an amazing move to hold the outside line through this sweeping left. You see the sliding, you see the oversteer from these cars. They have no wings. They don't even have underbody aero. There is no downforce generated by these Formula Fords. It's all about mechanical grip. And there are plenty of corners around here that test the limits of that.
Certainly does. Oh my goodness, this has been so close. Oh, he's gotten loose on the exit as well of turn 9, or so turn 9 and turn 8, sorry. I'm getting so excited, I'm starting to jumble up my numbers. That's not happened before. Oh, then a move here. It was actually Kane Ryder and Jackson Rihanna came together. A little bit of contact through turn 2. And that's what got Jackson Rihanna probably a little bit of red mist descending, or certainly I would be if I was in his situation, getting slightly tapped out the way. He had a big send into turn 3, managed to stay side by side with Ryder. Ryder had the advantage until another send through into that turn 6 area where he was able to hold on beautifully. Mazzaroli sets the fastest lap, and we've got one side by side this time, which turns rapidly into single file again.
It does. That little exchange between Rihanna and Ryder has given Eskandari 0.7 of a second in the lead of the race, and that's not quite enough to break out of slipstream range, but it does mean the rest of them are going to have to work a bit harder to catch back up. The slipstream obviously gets stronger the closer you are to the car ahead. That's just physics. So let's see what they can do. We'll keep an eye on lap times because Eskandari's been maintaining pretty consistent 1 minute 23. Everyone else running in the 124s on the last lap. Max Boost, Danny Davison here in 8th, and he's got Michael Scott and Jordan Mazzaroli with him for company. Mazzaroli, as you mentioned, on a bit of a charge here. He's trying to recover. He fell down a few positions on the start. He's still down 2 from where he began this race, but he's got pace on his side.
Yes, I think whispering sweet underlays. Underlay, please. Alacrity,
Arriba.
go. Arriba, please, go, drive faster. We're nearly there. Danny Davidson only 1.6 seconds off the back of Burchard's right now, and that is set to hopefully for them get a lot closer and bring them back into the battle. Eskandari going defensive as Kane Ryder now takes the top time, a 1:23.1. So we are only 0.3 or 0.2 in fact away from our qualifying top time of a 22.898. Getting very, very close, but back to even Stevens again for these guys, not wanting to maybe mix up things too much until we get closer to the end of this race. That's really it, isn't it? The positioning and where you are and when you launch that attack is so critical in a race that just goes back and forth all the time with this slipstream.
Yeah, it's like an oh my god. That's a bit deep there from Kane Ryder. Almost runs into the back of his teammate, and there's a spinner. It's Daniel Ackland.
Oh no, here we go. Yep, there it is. You can see it's just coming through turn 6, so that's really unfortunate for Dan Ackland. A similar situation evolved at Adelaide. He was in 5th place on potentially for a 3rd position finish. That he braked a little bit too deep and ended up near the barriers in Adelaide in Sector 3. And it kind of killed his race at that point, and unfortunately looks like he's done it again. We'll try and get a replay of that, up of that as soon as possible.
Yes, and I'd also like to request an onboard looking from the rear of Eskandari, because he got so close to being wiped out by his teammate Kane Ryder. It was incredibly close. So here's what happened to Ackland. Unfortunately, it's just an error he made all by himself. Maybe he was pinched a little to the inside, but in any case, the rear end of the car just went, potentially going, as you said, a bit too deep on the brakes and going for a spin. Kane Ryder, meanwhile, will be thanking his lucky stars that he didn't hit his teammate Eskandari. That would have certainly had major championship implications, with Ryder being in position to take the title if Eskandari finishes outside the top 7.
We're hoping that this is the right replay. It may well not be. In fact, it looks like totally the wrong part of the circuit. So unfortunately,
well, just wait a bit. Just wait a bit. This is the start of the lap, so we did see Rihanna and Ryder making some very good moves. Ultimately, Rihanna with a little bit of a slip and slide through turns 2 and 3, and then the exit was nailed by Kane Ryder. Now, they'll be coming up to that braking zone in just a few seconds' time. I just want to see how close Ryder got here to almost hitting Eskandari in the rear. So he misses his braking point about here, makes up a ton of time. Okay, that's not the replay.
That is not the replay, unfortunately. That is entirely on me. Yep, my apologies. No, you don't need to apologize. That is entirely on me. I will do my best to try and find it. In the meantime, we return to racing.
All good, all good. Side by side between Rihanna and Ryder once again. Now Rihanna is in the position Ryder was in a few laps ago. The outside line through turn 3, giving you a big launch out of the corner. And he will assume 2nd place through the left. Ryder on the outside line is not going to be able to hold on to that track position, or is he? He actually manages to get a little side draft off Rihanna and stick it up the inside for 6. Just enough room being given. Thank goodness for that tarmac runoff that they apparently can use, because if they'd been limited by grass or a curb, that would surely have been contact.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it should be a 1X or an off-track of some kind at the very least, but no, they're completely within their legal rights to use that runoff, and it does create some great opportunities. I mean, you can imagine if they were restricted in that part of the course, that all of those inside moves into that hard braking zone at turn 6 would probably either cause contact or cause someone to be off the road. So in a way, yes, we are very thankful for the runoff at that part of the race. We have now 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in this race. We've got fastest lap still with Kane Ryder, I believe. And no momentum, no movement, I should say, on this particular start into turn 1.
Into the first corner again, slightly wide for Ryder there behind Jackson Rihanna. I'm impressed that Seth Burkhardt has managed to stay in touch with these guys, even after Dan Ackland had his problems. But now it looks like the top 3 are going to form a little breakaway here. Eskandari still in front by 1.5 tenths of a second. Jackson Rihanna actually breaking him away in the top 2 there for the moment. Slightly wider line, later apex, and there's some short-term gains from Rihanna. Traction on his side there as they're 3 wide behind. Burkhardt's through the middle. Is going to take it from Adams and McCrowan. McCrowan spins in the background. What a move!
excellent work from Seth Burkhardt. He put his car in exactly the right position and 3 wide through that section of the track. I don't know how they did it, but they're braver than me. That is for sure, but unfortunately for McCrone, that has dropped him way out of this battle. 9th position, luckily off the racing line more or less, so the battle pack just behind didn't have to do too much to avoid his car in the middle of the road. And a big moment for Seth Burkhardt in this, but as you can see, it's going to cause him to have a little bit of a gap to those ahead. Can Campbell Adams do anything about it as we see more movement at the top of the field?
Now here comes Rihanna into turn 1, takes the lead off Eskandari once again. My timing's telling me 2 laps remaining. There's a look up the inside from the championship leader, but the outside line through turn 3 wins almost every time around the bend. And it looks like Rihanna will keep that lead for the moment, but the slipstream already kicking in for Eskandari. Rihanna goes defensive, no surprises there, but is he going to have the speed in mid-corner to actually get the move done? Uses all of the tarmac there on the exit of the corner, and he'll have the inside for the left-handers. That will be move done once again for Eskandari, but Jackson Rihanna is so close to getting this one done. There's been a problem, meanwhile, for Danny Davison. He appears to have towed back to pit lane, either that or his connection's dropped, actually. I've just seen it in sim. Now Rihanna has to keep an eye out here for Kane Ryder. They're about to get the white flag here, the final lap of the Everything Simulated Formula Ford Recruitment Series season. And the final lap of Formula Drivers League competition for 2025 begins right now. And Jackson Rihanna has a chance here to take the win in the final round of the season. Eskandari has a chance to take the championship in style. Kane Ryder may try to cap off his run here with a win as he's on the inside, 3 wide, coming together. Eskandari is around, and it looks like, Rihanna's gone together with him. They appear to be momentarily stuck together, but they manage to move back onto the track here just behind Seth Burkhardt. Eskandari is safe for the championship. Rihanna is going to try and take 3rd place back from Burkhardt, but Kane Ryder leads in an incredible move up the inside at turn 1. Rihanna gets by Burkhardt. And now Kane Ryder and Campbell Adams run 1-2 for max boost. Just a few corners to go. And Ryder certainly would have been hoping in the back of his mind. Eskandari's fallen back further. He's 7th. Eskandari's fallen back to 7th. I don't know what's happened, but he's in danger. He's run incredibly deep at turn 6. But it looks to me like he's just managed to hold on to it. This could be all of the difference made here for Eskandari. His teammate Daniel McCrowan is likely not going to make the move to try and protect the championship for his teammate Rihanna, running wide on the exit of the final corner. Up ahead, Kane Ryder and Campbell Adams are going to take the top 2 positions for Team Max Boost. Brilliant drives from the both of them. And how about Seth Burkhardt for Tulip Racing? But finishing in 6th, just by the skin of his teeth, Sebastian Eskandari takes the title.
Oh my goodness, I was having heart and mouth moments all the way through that last lap. Eskandari having 2 issues through that last lap. If there had been any more cars there, it would have been game over. Championship to Kane Ryder. It couldn't have worked out better for Kane Ryder at that point. Should there have been any other cars involved, Eskandari could have lost the championship within the space of a 30-second gap. Jackson, Rihanna, and Eskandari, I was thinking about it all the way through that. If they came together, Kane Ryder has this nearly in the bag. Luckily for Eskandari, McCrone was the leader of that pack that came up through, because I don't think Albert would have been as kind.
Certainly not. Todd Parks finishing the race with a mechanical black flag, by the way. Something went wrong for him somewhere along the line. That's everybody across the line. And that's our results in hand then. So Kane Ryder wins the final race of the season with Campbell Adams and Seth Burkhardt rounding out your podium. Michael Scott to 4th place. What a brilliant drive from him. He was present in the top 10 the whole race and took advantage of those late problems for Eskandari and Rihanna, who finish 6th and 7th behind Matt Zaroli, who rounds out your top 5. Daniel McCrowan finishing in 8th ahead of Mitchell Albert and Dan Ackland. That is your top 10. And it's a shame for Ackland. Certainly could have been in contention for a podium if he hadn't had that little mistake. All the difference can be made there. Chase James Tippett, well, it looks like he might have a 10-second penalty to his name, so we'll see. Oh, actually, no further action on his penalty. My apologies. So Chase Tippett is safe there in 11th with James Casa, Nathan Verney, Sean Doyle and Daniel Byrne rounding out your top 15. Matt Tesoriero, Patrick Savina and Todd Parks are your top 18 with Jackie Chung and Dylan Little rounding out your top 20, a minute behind the leaders. And then we had Vaughan Ryder finishing a lap down, Danny Davison with connection issues finishing 2 laps down in 23rd place. Martin Lipsky, the last car on the lead lap there, almost alongside the Turbo Bros car of Dylan Little. That is your championship done. Now it's time to talk to our interviewees. I think a good way to go about it would be top 2 in the race and then the champion, because that's who's in there at the moment. So we'll bring Kane Ryder in first. Welcome, Kane. That end to the race, it almost fell your way. Eskandari was only 1 position away from finishing outside the top 7 at one point.
Yeah, I wouldn't have liked to win it like that because it's you know, but yeah, it was absolutely on for that last lap. Our aim was just not let Jackson win, you know what I mean? But he made it as hard as possible. So yeah, he drove really aggressively, but fair, obviously. But yeah, he was very aggressive in that race.
Yeah, well, it looks like all of you dosed out your fair share of aggression. It was really the appropriate way to end such a tight and competitive season. Certainly, Team Max Boost adding another driver to their ranks in the form of Campbell Adams, who we'll talk to in a bit. But yeah, the team just seems to be going from strength to strength at the moment.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good drivers in lately. So yeah, Campbell's another good addition. Young Tassie boy, so same state as me. He's jumped over from the F1 game and he's doing exceptional here. So you know, he's only going to get better as well. So.
Well, with a second place finish in the final round, it looks like he will indeed be going places. But for you, Kane, you cap off your Formula Ford Recruitment Series season with a win. And when the series comes around next, I'm sure you're going to be right up there fighting for the win, fighting for the championship potentially as well. Big congratulations to you. And I suppose we'll see you when SFL comes back around in January.
Absolutely, guys. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Kane Ryder there from Team Max Boost, winning from 5th place. An incredibly impressive drive, right in there with all the battles as well. Finishing second to him was the newest addition to Max Boost, Campbell Adams. And, well, Kane mentioned to us, Campbell, that you've come over from the F1 games, so it must be a bit of a learning curve driving Formula Ford and iRacing.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's a lot to learn, a lot of driving style changes. So, no, it's a big step. Change, but no, I'm enjoying the change and it's good.
Yeah, the slipstream was incredibly strong today, as it almost always is in the Formula Ford, but it required you to just pedal lightly at times in that very intense top 7 pack.
Yeah, the slipstream carried me in qualifying, that's for sure. Gave me a very good starting position, probably out of position. I didn't feel like I was quite at the pace of the leaders today. I mean, we saw in practice Ken was just ridiculously fast when people weren't in slipstream. So yeah, I wasn't quite on the pace, but slipstreaming saved me, that's for sure.
Well, regardless, consistency and staying out of trouble is just as important, and that's netted you a 2nd place in the final round of the season. How are you filling in at Max Boost? Obviously, transition to a new team, getting the invite, coming in, seeing how the team works. What's it been like for you?
Yeah, initially I didn't actually know I was within the team. I thought it was just a general server, but yeah, being in the team's great. They're great people, great bunch of people. Really helpful when I need it. And yeah, just really good teamwork all the time. So no, they're a really good bunch of people.
Fantastic stuff. Well, congratulations on the podium, Campbell. I'm sure we'll see you again in January. For now, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Campbell Adams there, also of Max Boost. And last spot on the podium went to Seth Burkhardt from Tulip Racing. Man, yourself and Jordan all through the season, Seth, have been one of the top outsider competitors, I guess you could call them, outside of the Team Max Boost cars and Jackson Rihanna. You and your teammate worked pretty well together in qualifying, but you were the one who led the charge there. A podium finish was possible, but I think a few things had to go your way on the final lap to get that done.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I was pretty content with 6th. I was going to take it as it came, but I had pretty much resigned myself to, I'll just sit behind these guys, cruise my way to the finish. If they come off, I'll grab a few positions, but then the 2 cars in front of me slowed up and a gap in between them appeared. I was like, last race of the season, why not?
And it ended up giving us one of the best moves we've seen of the season. It was very impressive, I have to say. But rounding things out with a podium, which you're no stranger to this Formula Ford season. I suppose that brings next season into perspective as well. You and the Tulip guys certainly came to fight here at the end of 2025. When the series inevitably returns in 2026, I'm sure we'll be seeing you up there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to some high-powered Formula cars. Not usually what I drive, but I've enjoyed driving the Super Formulas in the past, so we'll give them a crack in the league.
All right. Well, fantastic stuff, Seth. Thanks for joining us. See you next year.
Thank you very much, guys.
Seth Burkhardt's there from Tulip Racing, and we'll have a chance to chat to our champion as well, Sebastian Eskandari. Oh, our hearts were in our mouths up here in the comms booth when the final lap happened. Can you give us some insight as to what happened to you out of turn 6 there? Because that was almost day done.
Turn 6 on the last lap, I had my slowdown, so I just tried to clear it as quick as possible. But yeah, it was just netcode with Kane in turn 1, so that's why I went wide. And then it was just unfortunate that Jackson and I got stuck together. And he said that his wheel ripped all the way off, so he just didn't have his hands on the wheel, so it just kept pushing wide. But I understand that. It's all happened to us. But yeah, apart from that last lap, the whole race was going quite well, and I really enjoyed it.
Yes, indeed. I think if that incident hadn't happened, you would have been well clear to likely take the win from there. But a bit of damage limitation having to be applied on the last lap. I suppose it's fortunate in a way that your teammate McCrowan was the next car behind you when you recovered from the incident. But at the end of the day, a 6th place means that you have enough points to call yourself the champion of the Everything Simulated Formula Ford Recruitment Series, the second time that FDL have done this. And that sets you up very nicely coming into next year's events. We do have the FDL Formula Open on January 6th before the new SFL season returns on the 13th of January. So I'm sure you're deep into prep for that.
Actually not. I might do the first round, but I'm racing in New Zealand. I'm practicing in New Zealand and racing throughout the year, so I don't think I'll do as many races as I did in the back half of this year. But I'll still try to do the ones that I can. It's always great fun.
Absolutely, and we love seeing you out there, Seb. A fantastic drive, and the championship is yours. So big congratulations from all of us up here in the booth. And yeah, hopefully we're chatting to you again very, very soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm looking forward to it.
Lovely stuff from Sebastian Eskandari, who finishes 6th on the road and takes the championship here for the Everything Simulated Formula Ford Recruitment Series. George, that brings things to a close here. Those are your provisional final standings. No real changes in the top 6, but Campbell Adams making up quite a few positions, as was Daniel McCrowan, up 7 places by the end of the conclusion of the final round. So, man, I wish this championship wasn't so short. I'd love to see more of this.
Absolutely. 4 rounds is not enough for this kind of racing, and it's been the same all the way through 2025 with Formula Drivers League. The racing has been super close. The standard of the racing has been incredibly high, and we have seen battles for the podium all the way down to the last moment. Today, no exception at all, with Eskandari nearly losing a championship to essentially what was a slowdown and a wheel coming off of Jackson Rihanna's car. And I hate to say this, but I don't think a wheel has come off for absolutely everyone. It hasn't happened to me just yet. But I am looking forward to the day that it does happen. It makes for quite the interesting scenario, let's put it that way. But nonetheless, it's been fantastic bringing you guys the commentary and the broadcasting this season for the FF1600s. The racing's been brilliant. I've loved every single moment of it.
Yeah, as have I, as have all of us here at TrackSpotTV. We want to give a shout out to our mate Ewan O'Leary, who could not make it for this final round, but he was here for the opening 3 rounds. And, well, I already said it in private, but I do apologise publicly for not being able to make it to the broadcast of last week at Adelaide. I would have loved to have been there and witnessed the action firsthand, but you can't make them all. But there's plenty of racing to come next year. As I mentioned, the FDL Formula Open is happening on the 6th of January. The Super Formula SF23s, not the Super Formula Lights, the big boys, the more powerful Super Formula cars, racing at Miami on the 6th of January. Have a look around and sign up if you feel that you are up to the challenge. And the new season of the Super Formula Lights series will be starting on the 13th of January. So make sure to stick your eyes glued to the socials for updates on that. Big thanks to everybody for watching throughout the season. A huge thanks to the crew at Formula Drivers League for putting the series on in the first place and bringing us on here in the booth to bring it to the world. My name is Reese Gardner. George Cook alongside me in the commentary box and producing behind the scenes here on TrackSpotTV. Sebastian Eskandari, your Everything Simulated Formula Ford Recruitment Series champion at the end of 2025. Have a wonderful holiday period. Whatever you're celebrating over the next week or so, we hope that you have an incredible time and you stay safe and stay happy. We'll see you next year when we get things started up again in 2026.